Okay, today we're going to do a strategic breakdown of the match between Chris Walker and Mike Tull that took place on June 25th, 2011 at the Awesome Internationals, a tournament that was promoted by Gerald Dawson. Now, what attracted me to this match was the contrast that it offered. We have the young lion versus the old lion, the lightweight versus the heavyweight, the offensive-minded fighter versus the counterpuncher. And when I refer to Mike Tull as the old lion, I don't mean any disrespect at all. At age 42, the man is still out there competing, fighting, and winning. So if anything, I tip my hat to him. In our coverage of the tournament in On Point Fighting, we gave Mike Tull an honorable mention for taking first place in men's senior fighting, and we said that he looked fantastic at age 42. Ultimately, he was taken out by an assassin's bullet. Some say the shot came from the grassy knoll, others say it came from the book depository. But no one disputed that the assassin was the young gunslinger, Chris Walker. So this is the fight we're going to look at today. And we're going to analyze it from the standpoint of what Mike Tull could have done to come out with a W. This videotape is compliments of blitzkick.com, a website that I recommend everybody go and visit, and I also urge you to visit and subscribe to their YouTube channel, which is at Blitzkick. If you're trying to make it to the top of the game, you should be studying videotape, and there's no finer place on the internet to study fight tapes than the Blitzkick channel on YouTube. Now, the center referee for this match is the legendary middleweight Anthony Mafia Holloway, and that's Mike Tull on the right hand side with the white top and the black headgear, and that's Chris Walker with the red headgear and the black uniform. Okay, so as the match begins, let's take a look at Mike Tull's fighting position. You'll see that he has his hands below his waist, and I got to tell you, I really can't stand to see that. If you walk into the corner store, it's fine to have your hands below the waist, but in a fight, I don't like that. You're giving away far too much. And yes, I understand that if you're standing in the safety zone, meaning you're beyond the point at which your opponent can hit you with a punch or a kick, it's okay to keep your hands down. Another time it's okay to keep your hands down below the waist like that is if you're trying to lure your opponent's attack. You're a counterpuncher, which Mike Tull is a counterpuncher, and you're trying to lure your opponent's attack. So you drop that, show him the target, and he comes in. In this case, though, there's no reason to invite your opponent in. You're going already facing an offensive-minded opponent, so there's no need for that, and you're just putting yourself at a disadvantage, because if Chris manages to get the critical distance on Mike, there's no way Mike is going to get his hands up in time to block a back fist or a reverse punch to his upper body. Okay, and if you have any doubts about that, that's a drill that you can do in your class, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Also, another thing I want you to key in on is how many times Mike Tull crosses the center line versus how many times Chris Walker crosses the line. The fighter that crosses the line first is 9 times out of 10 will be awarded with the point, because you're attracting the judge's attention. If when you cross the line first, the judges are watching you, watching what you're doing, and you know, it's a subjective sport, so you want every advantage possible. Okay, Chris set him up that time with his legs, made him think kick, all the time. In his mind, he was thinking, I want to punch him, and that's what he did. Showed him the kick, conditioned him to think kick, and then took him with the punch, and he jumps off to a 1-0 lead. Chris caught him standing still that time. Again, Chris has the superior speed. You don't want to stand in front of a fighter like that with that speed. You want to give him a lot more motion. He's a swifty. You've got to break up his rhythm. You've got to control the distance, keep him at far range, and definitely you don't want to go straight backwards either. It's 2-0 favor of Chris Walker. Now watch what happens right here. When Mike Tull's hands go up, Chris knows that the attack is coming. He's had his hands down the whole time. Now when the hands come up, that's a telegraphic move. Chris knows, hey, he's about to attack me, and then Chris prepares a nice defensive side kick and scores again. Watch how he telegraphs. So this is another way that holding his hands down below the waist worked against him. Bang. Let's watch that again. Hands come up, bang, telegraph. Nice defensive side kick. 3-0. Chris scores again. Mike Tull is going straight back. He's being a straight line fighter at this point. He's giving no lateral movement at all. And that gives the bullet, Chris Walker, time to ready, aim, and fire. Okay, and that's not what you want to do. This was a clash right here. That's a clash. Nobody scored. Score still 3-0. Chris caught him with a roundhouse kick that time to the head. That's 5-0 right now. So Mike has got a big mountain to climb at this point in the match. He scores again. That's 6-0. There's somebody in the audience out there yelling fake and go, yelling side to side, side to side. That man's giving good advice. And Mike goes forward that time and he scores. He gets on the scoreboard now. Score 6-1. And Mike catches him again. 6-2. All right, that was a careless mistake on Chris Walker's part. At that point, he's got a big lead. What was the score? I think I said 7-2 at that point. And a lot of times when you get up on your opponent by a huge margin like that, you tend to have a mental lapse thinking, okay, I've got this. Yeah, I've got this fight under control. And that's what happened that time. He went down low. He stuck his head forward a little bit too much. And the good counter fighter clobbered him on top of the head with the back fist. And there's Mike going straight back again, and not just going straight back, but going back slow. And again, you know, just making it a little bit too easy for the Swifty, Chris Walker. Now, it's interesting in that last exchange, Mike initiated the attack, even though Chris might have actually got his punch in first. Again, initiating the attack, you know, it helps you. It's an advantage. And Mike clearly caught him with that roundhouse kick. Defensive roundhouse kick. There it is again. Let's see it one more time. He caught him with that. The judges didn't give it to him, but we're going to give it to him. And okay, let's look at some of the fight stats from that fight. There were 13 total exchanges in the match. Okay, out of those 13 exchanges, Mike Tull crossed the line and initiated the offense 3 times, whereas Chris Walker crossed the line 10 times. Okay, now Chris scored with 5 reverse punches, 1 defensive side kick, and 1 roundhouse kick. All of his kicks were with the left leg. At no point did he even attempt a kick with the right leg. So we know that he's left leg in front and strictly a left leg kicker. So what do you want to do against a guy like that? You want to fight him in what we call the open stance, which meaning your chest and his chest are both facing in the same direction, and then hold your front hand up, because that will take away a lot of his front leg action. You're basically only giving him your back, you know, if he was to, you know, for example, to throw the roundhouse kick. So then really all you have to worry about after that is his hands. Okay, now Mike scored with 2 back fists, 2 reverse punches, and 1 roundhouse kick. It's interesting that out of the 5 points that Mike scored, 3 of the techniques were offensive moves. 1 was a clash, and 1 was a defensive side kick. So here's a counter puncher. You would think that all of his points would come from defensive moves, but that wasn't the case. 3 times they were offensive moves. Only 1 time was it a purely defensive move, and then 1 time, you know, it was a clash. So the final score was 8-5 on our unofficial on-point scorecard, And what I mean by unofficial is that I've had the advantage of reviewing this fight several times. And if you know anything about the sport, you know that the referees don't necessarily have the best vantage point for scoring. So, I mean, you can rest your money that 8-5, was the score of that match. Okay. So now let's turn our attention to some solutions and some adjustments that Mike Tull could have employed to come out of the match with the W. Adjustment number 1 is hands up. Okay, the hands have got to come up because that is going to eliminate a lot of scoring opportunities for your opponent. I mean, you can test this out for yourself. Holding your hand up above the waist, or I should say holding your hands up above the chin, holding your front hand up above the chin, will discourage 90% of the fighters from even throwing a blitz at you. Okay. Number 2, energize your footwork. Okay, Mike Tull in this match was very heavy on his feet, very sluggish on his feet. Maybe he might have even had an injury to his legs, that we didn't know about. So, in general, the way to energize your footwork is by doing footwork drills in the gym. And there's a whole bunch of different drills that you can do, and that's very important when you're going against a fast bullet like Chris Walker. Solution number 3, I have control the tempo of the fight, and what I mean by that is limiting the number of exchanges. Again, when you're going against a guy who has superior speed, you want to limit the number of exchanges. You have an offensive-minded fighter. He's very fast. If you clash at him, chances are his hand is always going to get there first if he's got faster hands. Also, he's offensive-minded, and a lot of offensive fighters tend to be very impatient. They want to go, 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 go. And you can see that Chris Walker has that tendency also. He always wants to go, go, go and get an attack and, throw a lot of techniques. That's why he piled up, 6 quick points in no time. So, control the tempo of the fight. Slow him down. Test his patience. Hopefully he is impatient, and maybe you can catch him making a careless mistake. There's nothing wrong with stepping out of the ring a couple of times, doing an equipment check, whatever you need to do to slow him down, to distract him, to break his mindset, and to hopefully entice him into doing something careless, something foolish. Solution number 4, set up your offense. You can't just go from a straight line position all the time and go straight forward and think that you're going to score, because in this case the guy is extremely fast. So set up the offense. How do you set up the offense? Well, maybe you're going to fake and go. Maybe you're going to move to the right and then all of a sudden shoot in. Maybe you're going to move to the left and then shoot in. Okay, you're going to set it up with movement, you're going to set it up with fakes, and you're going to set it up with combinations. And remember, in terms of combinations, what makes an effective combination is changing the height and the angle of the attack. Okay, in terms of setting up the offense with your footwork, setting up the offense with movement, Muhammad Ali was a master of that. You'll see a lot of fighters out there that move. They move. Then when they get ready to attack, they stop, they plant, they get set, and then they attack. Okay, that's not what you want to do. You want to use your movement to set up the offense. Again, look at some tapes of Muhammad Ali. You'll see how he'll do it. Circle to the left, circle to the right, circle to the right again, and then cut an angle. So when he cuts that angle, the opponent is thinking, oh, he's going to circle again to the left. Instead, this time, he's cutting an angle in and attacking at the same time. So, solution number 5, initiate more often. Again, this is what I'm talking about, a way to catch the judge's eye. You've got to be the one crossing that line 9 out of 10 times, and that way you're going to score 9 out of 10 times. Okay, so initiate the offense more often. And solution number 5, it says here, that should actually be solution number 6, is study tape of your opponent. So I just have a sense that there's too many fighters out here today that are not taking advantage of the great opportunity we have, which is to study tape, because that way you can learn your opponent's tendencies, learn his tendencies before you even step into the ring against him, and that way you already have a battle plan when it comes time to face him. So that gives you a mental advantage. So we're going to be doing a lot more of these things in the weeks and months ahead, because I think it's useful and it's also fun. So This is it. On Point Analysis. This is your man Kevin Thomas signing off.